Good morning and welcome to another edition of Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. I'm Darren Swinson. Our Town, as always, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. And obviously, we're going to keep up doing the radio show at 9 a.m. every Thursday morning, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. But we are now bringing this show to a different format as well. For anybody that misses the show, we are now going to be recording our interviews via Zoom, and we will post these to YouTube as well. And we will link the YouTube videos by every Thursday morning to the River Facebook page as well. So a different way to experience our town each and every week is possible now through technology, as we will post these shows to YouTube each and every week. A little later on in the program, we're going to talk about National Mentoring Month. We'll be joined by Kathy Schwartzhoff from Helping Services for Youth and Family, as well as Colinne McCann from Helping Services for Youth and Family. But we'll kick off the show this morning talking all things City of Decorah with Decorah City Manager Chad Bird. Having our first conversation of 2021 with Decorah City Manager Chad Bird. It's still the first week of the year. I think I can still say Happy New Year, correct?
Yes, Happy New Year, Darren. I was going to say the same to you.
Well, good to have you along board and good to chat with you this morning. Chad, one of the first big things the city has to do year in and year out is establish a budget. The workshop coming up here in a couple of weeks with the council discussing the budget. Where is the city at in establishing a budget for the next fiscal year?
So we're still working through all of the information, and as you can imagine, and a budget that is anywhere from $10 to $12 million a year, depending on capital projects and bonding and things like that. There are a lot of moving parts. So right now, Wanda, our city clerk treasurer, and her staff are working through departmental requests, compiling that information. Wanda gave a brief overview at the city council meeting on Monday about some of the auxiliary revenues like hotel, motel, and local option sales tax and that, where we're projecting those. So we're still pulling the pieces together. It's going to be a tough year. I think for the most part, the budget's going to stay the same, but the piece that's going to make it maybe a little more challenging is, we're going to see the Locust Road bond come online next fiscal year, fiscal 22, which starts July 1st. And that'll be a new piece, and it'll be significant to our levy rate and to our budget.
As when it comes to the revenues that come into the city, obviously the economy took a hit last year with COVID-19. What funds are most affected by the economy? Which funds are perhaps least affected by the economy?
Yeah, that's a good question. The ones that are most fluid are going to be the local option sales tax, the hotel motel, and the road use tax or the gas tax. Those have almost monthly or quarterly fluctuations that are really very dependent on consumer spending. And so those are the ones that we watch closely and that are harder to budget for or project. Although the state does a good job giving us information that looks at their projections and calculations. But those are the hardest ones when we see economic times like this. Property tax revenues, those tend to be more stable, or they're not as fluid, or if they are fluid, it takes longer, multiple budget years or fiscal years to see changes, decreases in property values or things like that.
What's going to be the biggest challenge in putting together a budget for next fiscal year?
Probably just the fluidity in those revenues that we talked about. I know right now I've caught a glimpse of some of the department head requests and some of the department budgets. And again, I say this every year, but I applaud our department heads for really holding the line and trying to present a realistic budget. Our special requests, or our wish list, if you will, is really down this year. And I think that's indicative of two things. One, we've done a good job providing the equipment and tools that the departments need over the years. And then them just understanding that this is maybe not the year to be asking for the extras. And so, what's the challenging piece? Just trying to pull all that together with some uncertainty. Of course, we want to try to hold the line on the utilities, water and sewer, and those rate increases and that. but yet at the same time try to keep the departments and the utilities healthy. So that we are set up for reserve accounts for emergency repairs and needs.
From a financial standpoint, what's the biggest reason to be optimistic right now?
I think as I just completed the management discussion and analysis of our audit, and of course, our audit, was for the last fiscal year that ended June 30. That we still have some stability in our city budgeting. Things aren't, maybe at least for us in Decorah, we don't see the great peaks and valleys that maybe we see more on a national scale. And so I think that gives us some reason to have some optimism moving forward that our budget's not going to be impacted greatly by current events, pandemic and whatnot.
Decorah City Manager Chad Bird joining us. Related to COVID-19 and the protocols that the city has been going through, just like everybody else, has anything changed related to the city's health and safety protocols related to COVID-19?
Darren, it really hasn't for the last several months. Of course, things were changing quickly based on the governor's response or proclamations of the week as things changed at the state level or national level. But I would say probably since August or September, things have been, we've kind of reached a new normal, I guess, in terms of how we respond and the staff and I think even our residents. We've just kind of accepted practices and new normals, and things are looking pretty good, I think, as far as being able to protect our staff. The next big thing is the vaccine and how that impacts the city's frontline people, our public safety, police and fire, and those folks that work on the front line. And we're waiting patiently to see what that looks like from the Board of Health for those frontline city employees. Right now, we don't really have a word on when that may be coming, but that's kind of the next benchmark for us.
And related to the services the city provides and the meetings and everything like that, I know most of your meetings, if not all your meetings since March, have been done electronically. Where's that balance between keeping everybody safe and doing things in a safe and a healthy way, but still providing that openness of government? Is that a delicate balance that maybe we need to look at moving forward?
And a couple of the council people did bring that up as we had our organizational conversation at the council meeting on Monday in terms of looking at the council's rules of procedure, which we look at every January for the new year. And a couple of council members had brought up, well, how do we reflect, again, this new normal, using the Zoom or online streaming tools and reflect those types of things in our rules of procedures. And so we'll continue that conversation. Darren, I think in some ways, being able to offer meetings online, with the Zoom platform or Teams or whatever it might be, actually adds to a level of openness, I think, that we've not had before. Not that we haven't been open, we certainly have been, but let's say it's a cold, dark, and stormy night, right, as it goes. And somebody doesn't want to get out of the house and come to a public hearing, but they're really interested in the topic. Well, now they have an option to attend that meeting using an online platform that they didn't have before. Plus, we're recording that. We record it just like this conversation today, and that link gets posted on different media platforms, and it's there for however long it survives.
And is that one of the things that maybe governments and really all of society can do moving forward? Because every time everybody faces a challenge, if you don't learn from that challenge and try to improve things, you're really not doing your job. Is that something that government can learn from in regards to openness and accessibility?
Yeah, I think so. It certainly is going to be something that we'll continue to look at moving forward, as it was discussed a little bit last Monday. I think the interesting thing is, we're kind of operating now under some modified state laws and rules through the governor's proclamation that relaxes some of Iowa's open meeting protocols. I think the legislature should be one of the first groups right there to change some laws to reflect this new norm, right, and the new way of meeting. Having said that, I do think it's also very important that our commissions and councils and our groups and our bodies get to a point where they can meet in person, because I think that in-person dynamic for the board itself is very important. Whether we continue on with a public access or an open meeting access that's online or something like that, we'll continue to look at. But I do feel personally that it's important for our boards and commissions to meet in person, face to face, because I think that's an important dynamic in the discussion and deliberation.
Last month, the council established a task force related to looking into another municipal electric utility. Tell us what the goal of that task force is. What will they all be involved in, and what are you looking to get out of that task force?
Yeah, that task force was one of the recommendations that came from the sustainability plan that the council adopted last February, and was one of the first initiatives put forth from the Sustainability Commission, which was created and seated in July, is to seat the task force. And their major objectives will be to continue to explore the feasibility of a municipal electric utility, with a couple of subordinate objectives. One being, do we proceed to another referendum, which the earliest that another referendum could be held would be May of 22. You can only hold those types of referendums once every 4 years. The other subordinate objective of the task force will be to review and determine whether another feasibility study is necessary. And that could look like a lot of things. Do we look at the feasibility studies that we already have in our inventory and dust those off? Is there a comparative feasibility study, or is there just a whole new feasibility study? So those will really be the two main things, I think, for the task force to start looking at. Of course, I know another subset of that is, who do they talk to in the community? What consultants will they engage in their discussions and deliberations? How do they outreach this message to our constituents so that they can glean, input and professional advice and criticisms if they're out there, and just assimilate all of that information. The task force is appointed for 12 months, at least 12 months. That was the directive of the city council. And so I know the council is going to be looking at some type of, certainly periodic report, but some kind of capstone report at the end of that 12 months as to what's the next course of action.
In regards to the makeup of that task force, I know publicly a person raised a concern that they wanted to be on that task force. It was a former Alliant Energy employee, and they were not able to do so. How was that task force come up with, and do you feel that there's a diverse enough viewpoints on that task force that the city will move forward in the right direction?
Yeah, well, I'm going to be evasive on the second part of that question, because my opinion on the makeup of the task force is a political aspect of who's appointed that, so I'm not going to comment on that.
That's fair.
The Sustainability Commission, with their council liaison, Emily Neal, really vetted a list of names, and that's within their purview. That's part of the charge of the commission, is to recommend names to the council for that task force, which they did. They went through a process. I know for sure they had a list of 35 names. Whether they were the right names or not is not really for me to comment on. The council felt they were the right names because the council accepted the recommendation and appointed the task force. So,
anything we're missing this morning, Chad?
The task force, actually, their first meeting is tonight. And you can find their agenda with a link to their Zoom. They have a Dropbox folder already set up with a bunch of information in there. Those links, both for the meeting and the Dropbox, are on the top of their agenda. Tonight's meeting will be more organizational in nature. I'll give them a charge. I know the mayor's going to welcome them to their task group, and I'll cover the things that are important from my perspective: open meetings, open records, what their charge is, their objectives, and then just kind of set it up that I'm here as a resource for them as their staff liaison. So that'll kick off tonight. That'll be good work to get going. So.
All right, Chad, nice to have a face-to-face conversation with you this morning, and we appreciate you taking the time to update us on what's going on in the city of Decorah, and look forward to chatting with you next month.
Yep, Darren, thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Decorah City Manager Chad Bird. January is National Mentoring Month, and with us from Helping Services for Youth and Family is Kathy Schwartzhoff and Colinne McCann. And Kathy, we talk to you every January. It's a month that needs to be celebrated because the relationships between mentors and mentees are a very valuable one. Tell us about the mentoring services and the mentoring program that Helping Services for Youth and Family has coordinated for quite some time.
Yeah, it's been over 20 years that we've been providing mentors to area youth between the ages of 6 and 16. And mentors and kids are out doing things that they enjoy. Things are a little different right now with the world as it is, but people are being very creative with getting together. And we're very, very fortunate to have you know, when the world did shut down, there were many of our mentors and kids both who said, when can we see each other again? When can we connect? And that just proves the friendship that has grown from those two people is really important to them.
And Colinne McCann is with us. Kathy just mentioned the way the world is right now. Those face-to-face connections are a little less than what they used to be. But how have the mentors and the mentees gotten creative to make sure these relationships keep going, even in a COVID-19 pandemic world?
Yeah, and Darren, that's a great question. We ourselves as mentoring coordinators got creative in helping our matches and supporting them in our world, and really want whatever option they want to choose to be the most comfortable option. And I say that as we have matches who are meeting in person, doing the face-to-face mentoring, wearing face masks, maintaining the 6-foot distance, keeping things as safe as they possibly can when they're together. And we also have matches who have chosen to change their meeting into texting, phone calling, that old-fashioned letter writing, and getting back into, hey, we know how to write letters, send mail, and that's kind of cool. Video chatting, if that's an option for them. And like Kathy was saying, the creativeness there in the video chatting, you know, as a mentor and my youth, we get on a video together and we play Yahtzee with each other, or we bake no-bake cookies together, and I've sent her the ingredients, you know, and we're still trying to do activities and things like that together. We also are doing pen pal packs and providing those for our matches. And the Iowa Mentoring Partnership, who's a huge supporter of mentoring and National Mentoring Month, has come out with a virtual platform for mentoring, and we are really just grateful and making it work.
And Kathy, in the world where isolation is bigger than what it used to be, knowing the fact that so many places have been shut down this year, and so many connections, at least face-to-face, have been limited, how important is it, even more important, to have these relationships with mentors and mentees to feel a little less isolated than otherwise they would be?
Yeah, it's actually more important now that kids have someone that they can connect to, because we've got one boy who he was having, you know, very, very good academics, and since he's had to move to online work, he's failing most of his classes. He's in a state of depression, and they're talking about medication for him, and his mentor's kind of beside himself because he's always been that person that encourages him, and he knows he will continue to do that. But his heart goes out to this young man who really is struggling. And, you know, like you say, part of it's the isolation. He doesn't have the friends that he has before. He lives way out in the country. And school's a distance away, but then too, if it's all virtual and that's not your best way of learning, it can be a real challenge for the kids. And then too, the parents have that extra burden of managing everything. And it's difficult when their employment is cut back through to many of the COVID type of things. And so the family is struggling a lot too. And so families need resources that they can reach out to and get their child involved. And we are more than happy to help people that want to have their child involved in mentoring, but we also need the volunteers that can either want to meet in person or want to have that connection. As Colinne described, those many ways to do that.
And Colinne, earlier this week, the Wenatchee County Board of Supervisors and the Allamakee County Board of Supervisors passed resolutions for National Mentoring Month. I believe the Howard County Board of Supervisors will do it next Monday. When you get the support of the governmental bodies for what you're doing and the efforts you're doing related to mentorship, how much does that mean to everybody involved with the program?
Yeah, that's a very big influence on the program. We were even telling, I think it was Allamakee County Board of Supervisors, they said, so Kathy, are we getting a picture this year? And she was like, of course we are. And, you know, people see that picture and see those county board of supervisors and see that the program has that support and that how it's affecting the community, how it's helping the youth in our communities that we live in, and they go, God, I should get into mentoring. Yep, I'm getting into mentoring. And I mean, it just, yeah, it's a big factor of helping us recruit and just knowing that we have that support and that they appreciate the programs and see the impact that it does have in our communities.
And Kathy, I understand there's an event taking place next week. For those that may be interested in participating and becoming a part of mentoring in Decorah, is that correct?
Yes, I need to say 2 words: ice cream. Okay.
Good enough for me.
That says it. Yep. We call these events Tasty Thursdays, and they're at the Landing, which is kind of a new place for folks here in Decorah. And within that Landing facility, Sugar Bowl has a shop there, and between 5:30 and 6:30, folks can stop by, ask questions that they have related to mentoring, and talk with us as staff, or even visit with the mentor and mentee that's there, because the mentors and mentees use the Tasty Thursdays as an option of, hey, let's visit and talk and go get that free ice cream. And the thing that's wonderful about that too is that Sugar Bowl donates all of the ice cream for every Tasty Thursday. So we're really, really excited about that opportunity, and just want to encourage people that if you've ever thought about mentoring, now's the time to do it, because kids really need that one-on-one time with another adult.
And Colinne, when you look at all these relationships that have been made over the years, knowing the fact that these relationships are so important, especially in a time like these, what's your sales pitch, if you will, for folks that are thinking about getting involved and making a difference in a young person's life? Why should they do it?
Just get involved. Be that one person who makes the difference in the lives of these kids who need that extra adult role model. It's simple. It's simple as being their friend, spending time with them, not spending money. It's about the time you spend with them. It's about doing the same things you like that they like. You're matched based on your own interests. It really is a ripple effect, in the sense that, you know, we have mentors. We have a mentor right now who was in the program as she grew up in the program, was mentored, and now wants to be doing it herself. And that happens oftentimes, and just is amazing in those ways. And be that one person, get involved, start mentoring, get a hold of us. We love to hear from people.
And I know, Kathy, you and I have talked about this before. Some people might have the attitude of, hey, I'm a busy person. I got a lot of things going on. I don't know if I got the time to do that. But really, it's not about amount of time. It's about the quality time you spend with the person that you're matched up with. Is that fair to say?
That is very fair to say. And the thing that I say too is we love busy people, because busy people know how to work things in that they're passionate about. And so if you enjoy spending time with youth, this is for you. If you want to do something this year that makes a difference, this is a good thing to do. And so I just, encourage people to get involved, like Colinne said. And the other thing that often happens too is you don't have to do fancy things. We've got a mentor who the first time he got together with his mentee, they washed his car. And the kid thought this was the greatest thing. The guy doesn't have a fancy car, but he never washed a car before. And now they've been involved for, I think, 3 years, and every year, every anniversary date of their time that they've been together, they wash the mentor's car.
That's very neat story. Colinne, anything we're missing, anything else you want to pass on to the public regarding the mentoring program and opportunities to get involved?
You can contact us at 563-387-1720 or mentoring@helpingservices.org. Email. Just, really think about it and understand these kids need you and become that one person for them. Mentoring is great.
All right, Kathy and Colinne, we appreciate you taking a few minutes this morning to talk about the mentoring program. We appreciate all the good you guys do for the community itself at Helping Services for Youth and Family. And here's to a great National Mentoring Month and a great 2021 for everybody involved in every way.
Right.
Yes, thank you, Darren.
That's Kathy Schwartzhoff and Colinne McCann from Helping Services for Youth and Family talking about mentoring. Our thanks to our guest on the program this morning, Decorah City Manager Chad Bird, as well as Colinne McCann and Kathy Schwartzhoff from Helping Services for Youth and Family, discussing National Mentoring Month. Of course, another reminder, we will air the show each and every Thursday morning at 9 a.m., brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust on 94.9 and 99.1 The River, but we will also make these shows available via YouTube as well. We will post the link to the River Facebook page each and every week as well. So another way that you can get the content that we produce here at Wennes Communications. Our thanks to our guest, our thanks to you for tuning in or logging on, and our thanks to Decorah Bank and Trust for being our sponsor. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River.